YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Carl coming back at you from Golden Grimmon Productions. I know I took a 2-day break on my uploads and I'm back at it. So this time around, we're going to be reacting to Beyond the Glory Part 3. If you are new, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. It helps me out tremendously. So let's get straight into this video.
It turned around when we drafted Larry Bird. Here he came, quote unquote, the savior. So happened this guy's white, East Boston, South Boston, people could relate to him. And, Larry Bird is a great white hope.
The racial component of that was so powerful. Bird was the first great white ball player in a number of years. Playing for Boston, a town which had a terrible reputation for race relations going back to the busing crisis of the 70s.
White people who have seen black people dominate basketball for so long are heartened to see Larry Bird out there able to compete. Larry gave some people who are maybe more narrow-minded about it a reason to watch the NBA again and feel good about themselves.
Here he was out there with a quarter of black guys out there talking trash with him, and the rest of the fellas are sitting there going, hey, the boy bad, what can you say? And I think what America saw in this guy was somebody who really didn't see race.
When I was in the 7th, 8th grade, we always had this basketball court there that a lot of the guys that worked at the hotel would be over there, and they always let me play in their games. They were all black players. Every time I got off that bus, it seemed like they were waiting on me to get there. So when I started playing basketball, whether it be college or pros, I always felt like I fit in.
Two people so matched came along at the same time. And of course there was the black-white thing. And of course that's what fascinated everybody. And not just the black-white thing, but the white country boy, black city boy.
Both of those men brought an unselfishness and a winning attitude and a quality to the league that began to become contagious.
We started getting tons and tons of coverage. We went from playing late night on TV to playing prime time.
These two guys generate huge television revenues and start the process of resuscitating the NBA from a league that was hemorrhaging money in many cities to a league that could start to garner big contracts from the television network.
I like that word that he spoke about, resuscitation. There aren't any players in the league today that can hold that, you know what I'm saying? Like Larry Bird and Magic held those, you know what I'm saying? That word, like resuscitation. They revived the NBA in a time when it was looked upon as like, they had tape delays, bro. Like the game wasn't even that important for people to watch. But when they came into the league, Larry Bird and Magic changed that. It became primetime TV.
Works.
If the highly charged court dynamics of Bird and Magic ignited the NBA's resurgence in the early 80s, it was the competitive tradition between their teams that provided the context.
The Lakers and the Celtics really didn't like each other. One was seen as a low post, grinded out, quote, unquote, white team, and the other was seen as a Showtime, run it up, quote, unquote, black team. And it kept fans attracted to it.
It was like Athens and Sparta. You had the absolute glitz capital of the world, and then an intellectual capital, a blue-collar town. It is the old world. And when the two of them clashed, it really felt like I missed out on World War II, so here's the closest thing I'm going to see.
Bird's Celtics and Magic's Lakers met in the finals 3 times. In their first clash in 1984, Boston trailed 2-1 after dropping Game 3 by 33 points. Bird was furious in defeat.
Well, we just play like a bunch of women tonight. We got some great players on this team, but we don't have the players with the heart sometimes that we need. Until we get our hearts where they belong, we're in trouble.
He knew we were going to respond. Now, guys, let's relax and go out and take care of business. And we did.
Behind a re-energized Boston team, Bird averaged 28 points and 16 rebounds over the rest of the series as Boston won the title in 7 games. Magic and the Lakers rebounded to beat Bird's Celtics in the 1985 and 87 finals. In 37 NBA duels, Magic held a 22-15 edge over Bird. But behind their on-court battles, the two started to let their guards down as early as 1984 at a taping for a Converse sneaker commercial.
I heard Converse made a pair of Bird shoes for last year's MVP.
Yep.
When they made a pair of Magic shoes for this year's MVP.
Okay, Magic,
Show me what you got.
A lot of people see Magic and they see this big Showtime and all this stuff, but I didn't see any of that day. I seen the real Magic Johnson.
In between the takes, we get a chance to talk. And the dialogue is going great, because this is really the first time we got a chance to talk to each other.
We were just sitting there talking about everything in the world instead of basketball.
They couldn't even get us back out on the court to shoot the commercial.
Actually, that day, I see him as Irvin Johnson, not Magic Johnson.
We're in Los Angeles, and I got a pulled hamstring. So I'm not playing tonight. He walks down to me. Man, I'm sorry you're not playing. But he said, I'm going to tell you what. Since you're here, I'm going to put a show on for you. So you just sit back and watch, okay? And I'm like, man, get out of my face, man. I want to hear that. You know, that's Celtics and the Lakers. Every time he hit one, he look at me. Because of the HIV virus that I have attained, I will have to retire from the Lakers.
They're walking hand in hand into history together. And it's no accident that when Magic announced that he had the AIDS virus, that Bird broke down and cried, teared up, couldn't talk.
To the greatest basketball player ever, but more important, a friend forever. I
appreciate it. It's been a great honor to be out here. There's only one place I'd rather be, French Lick.
Early in his NBA career, Larry Bird's sense of disconnection from his life in French Lick often was expressed in a guarded response to the press.
I was in an elevator with him in Phoenix, and I turned to him and said, "Congratulations on such a good rookie season, Mr. Bird." And he turned away from me. I mean, I scared him. He couldn't deal with someone like me, an outsider who was better dressed, who seemed to represent a world that was threatening to him.
But in time, Bird learned to control the presence of reporters.
The media begs off with Larry because they're very afraid of him. They're afraid to somehow or another infuriate him. They're afraid to ask the tough questions. He somehow or another has that way of intimidating the media as he intimidated players.
He's never said to me at any point in our conversations off the record, and I asked him once about that. I said, well, you know, why don't you ever hold back? Why don't you say off the record to me? He says, I don't care what you write, I don't read it.
Bird's unwillingness to back down from the media was an extension of his aggressiveness on the court.
Bird fights Kareem, swings the elbow, and now is yelling at Larry Bird.
You could never back down.
Honestly, bro, if a lot of players today had the ability to not speak to the media, well, I'll say this, it's different now. You get fined for not talking to the media or giving answers to the media. But Larry had, he didn't like the media. It's because they were abusive. The media would take statements, twist it, like they did in college. Like when he was in college and they basically made it seem like the teacher gave him the test when in reality the teacher was helping him pass the test by tutoring him, giving him help. One interaction with media can change how a person views everything for the rest of their entire life. And it took for him to open up to Magic a little bit for him to, get a little more vocal. So
down.
Jaw to jaw.
Once you do, people look at you different. You had to stand up for everything you believed in, and even if it's the one playing basketball, if somebody took the gloves off and wanted to go, you had to go. If you didn't, there's no use playing.
Bird's hard nose was never more visible than during a 1984 game with the 76ers when he took issue with Dr. J.
Larry was complaining to the refs, and I was complaining to the refs, and the next time down the court, he got in my face.
I was up 38-6. That's how I summarize it. I don't want to get into the details, but I wasn't happy with the way things were going on.
Only if you knew that Larry Bird was a world-class taunter and provocateur would you understand what happened next.
I felt like he was going to hit me, So my hands went up and his went up, and the next thing I know, we had each other's necks.
Larry Bird is no hick, believe me. But you could stick straw between his teeth and he could play the role and he could convince a lot of mid-America that he was their boy.
How long have you been playing basketball, Larry? I started 2 years ago in the United States, so I've probably been playing. Well, I'm 22. I probably played 24 years. 24 years. Okay.
He's street smart. On the front cover of Sporting News, he wore Adidas. And on another magazine, he wore Converse. Another one, he wore Nike. So he had them all thinking that, hey, we might be able to sign this guy to a shoe contract.
Beyond an acute awareness of his own commercial potential, Bird waged psychological warfare at the drop of a ball.
The '84 Olympic team was playing an exhibition game against a bunch of pros, including Larry Bird, and they were in the warm-ups. And a ball bounced down from the college end of the court to the pro end. And Michael Jordan went down to chase it. The ball happened to be picked up by Larry Bird. And Michael went up a few feet away from Larry Bird and held out his hands. And Bird took the ball and fired it back down the court over Jordan's head, as if to...
Okay, this is a good portrayal of it, because I've heard a lot of Larry Bird fans in the comment section say, because I watched a video and I reacted to a video where they said he kicked it over Michael Jordan's head, but the reality was he threw it over his head. So good to clarify, you know what I'm saying? Because misinformation is a disjustice to history, especially basketball history.
Say, you're not only not getting this ball, I don't give a damn who you are. Larry Bird knows exactly who this guy is and what's going to happen in the next few years, and he wants to get every edge he can get right now.
I remember going to Boston Garden for the first time. I couldn't wait to see it, to walk on that floor. And I got there 3.5 hours before game time, and the lights weren't even on the court. But I heard a ball bouncing as I was walking through the court, and look who's here 3.5 hours before the game begins, an hour before anyone else would even be in the building other than the popcorn vendor, but Larry Bird.
Larry Bird has always been afraid of failing. And what did that make him do? It made him work harder than anybody else. You know, they talk about Larry Bird practicing in the rain. Larry Bird practicing out by himself all the time, before games, after games. And I think that's the ethic that he brought from that small town environment and the ethic that he has today.
Averaging 23 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists in his first 5 seasons, Larry Bird led Boston to 2 NBA titles. In 1986, after helping the Celtics to 67 regular season victories, including a 40-1 home record, he won Finals MVP honors as Boston defeated Houston in 6 games.
It is all over. The Boston Celtics are the world champions for the 16th time.
I think Larry was the mystique. I think Larry was the confidence. The parquet floor and the championship banners didn't mean anything if Larry Bird wasn't on the court with us.
Bird's mystique was never greater than in Game 5 of the 1987 Eastern Conference Finals against Detroit. With the series tied at 2 games apiece and the Pistons holding a 1-point lead and the ball with 5 seconds to go, Bird came to the rescue.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Oh my, this place is going crazy.
He was just very smart, and he was tough enough to hang in the game and grind you out and grind you down. I mean, you knew it was coming, you just didn't know where, how, and when.
His tenacity, his will to win, he never gave up, and that's what I admire most about Larry.
Bird comes free.
Bird's 24th quarter points in a showdown with Atlanta's Dominique Wilkins in Game 7 of the 1988 Eastern Conference semifinals was not a sign of things to come. The Celtics lost in the next round, and Bird would not lead them that far again. Plagued by a bad back and other injuries, Bird missed 142 games in his final 4 seasons.
Bird is hurt. Bird is down, and he's hurt.
The lengths that this man went through. He dives on the floor for a loose ball, bangs his head, has a concussion. He's sitting in the locker room with the team physician, Arnie Scheller. And Arnie said, you know, Larry, you've done all you could. It's been a great run. You know, you're not going back out there. And Larry said, no, you're right, Arnie. I'm done. And then he looked at Arnie and waited till Arnie's attention was gone for a moment. And he got up, he went back out, and of course, they won the game.
Out of the pages of Willis Reed.
I think the last...
Bro, a concussion, and a fractured, was it cheekbone? Come on, bro. We can't even go to work sometimes with a headache. That man went out there and played and won the rest of that game, bro. Greatness at its finest.
2 years of Larry's career, after he came back from missing almost an entire season due to twin Achilles surgery, were even worse for him because of his back. And it was a congenital thing. It got worse and worse to the point where after he retired, he had to have spinal fusion surgery.
This was a guy who played, went home from practice, was put in a full body brace for the rest of the day, would get up the next morning, take it off, go to practice, come back and put that brace back on. That's what he had to do to finish that final season. When his career was over, he took that body brace out into the woods, he pulled out a shotgun and he blew it to pieces.
In the summer of 1992, Bird nursed his sore back through the Barcelona Games, winning a gold medal as part of the first ever professional U.S. Olympic team. Then, in August, he knew it was time to step down.
And he had a clause in his contract that said that if he did not retire by August 15th, that he would have an automatic renewal of his contract for $4.5 million a year. On August 12th, he came into Dave Gavitt, the president of the Celtics, and said, Dave, I can't do it. My back's too bad. I'm going to retire. Gavitt said to him, Larry, why don't you think about it for a week? And Bird narrowed his eyes and looked at him and said, look, I know what day this is, and if I'm not going to play, I'm not going to take the money.
Tonight I leave you and I say thank you. I'll be around, but tonight my basketball career is officially over, and I had a blast.
So I'm gonna end it right there. The last 8 minutes of it, I'm gonna pump these videos out back to back. But he was, bro, humble enough to know like he still could have took the money and not played, but he know, like Larry Bird knowing that if he can't play at least to a capacity that he knows he can play, it's no point for him to continue forward. I've enjoyed this, man. Sorry about the late upload on this video. I've had a lot going on. I've been pumping out videos, but I'm gonna get back to the original ones that I was doing. It's been your boy Carl, Golden Grimmer Productions. Until the next one. Peace.